Okay, so good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Board of Directors for Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space. My name is Yoriko Kishimoto, President of the Board of Directors, and this meeting is called to order. We are a few minutes late at 7:05. And this meeting is being held in person at our administrative offices and by teleconference pursuant to Government Code Section 54953-E. So COVID is officially over, according to our governor, but members of the public, the good news is that members of the public can continue to attend and participate in person or via Zoom. And if you are watching by Zoom, instructions for submitting the public comment are available on the meeting agenda. Okay, so clerk, would you please call the roll?
Director Gleason.
Here.
Director Ripple.
Here.
President Kishimoto.
Here.
Director Holman.
Here.
Director McNiven.
Here.
Director Sear.
Here.
Director Christine Tucker is here, but momentarily not present.
Yeah, she had to step out, so she may or may not be back. Okay, and I just wanted to announce that the board did meet earlier in closed session and took no reportable action. So this is the time for oral communications for items not on the agenda. And are there any members of the public that wish to
President
speak?
Kishimoto, we do not have any oral comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Sear and Holman. Okay, and yes, please.
Director Gleason.
Yes.
Director Riffle.
Yes.
President President Kishimoto.
Yes.
Director Holman.
Yes.
Director McNiven.
Yes.
Director Sear.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, there's 3 items on the consent calendar. Does anyone on the board wish to pull an item or ask any questions, quick questions? I don't see anyone. Then I'll accept the motion.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconds. Yes.
Director Gleason.
Yes.
Director Riffle.
Yes.
President Kishimoto.
Yes.
Director Holman.
Yes.
Director McNiven.
Yes.
Director Sear.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Okay, so we're on to our board business, and the first one is item number 4, legislative position recommendations. RCR, Legislative Affairs Manager.
Good evening, members of the board. Josh Hugg, your Governmental Affairs Program Manager, bringing to you our initial batch of district legislative positions for the 2023 state legislative session. The recommendation is from the general managers to approve the recommended list of legislative positions for the 2023 state legislative session. So of the approximately 2,700 bills that were released this session, we went through a vetting process with both our lobbyists, and our department managers and other internal staff to identify bills that were had appeared to have some relevancy or interest for the district. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. Of those, we identified 140 bills that we're tracking. Of those, we identified 6 bills as priority 1 and 25 bills as priority 2. You will see that list within attachment number 1. And these are, I'll just say, these are the initial 31 bills that we were looking at. They were approximately 1,600 what they call spot bills. Those are placeholders for any type of legislation. They did give a little bit of intent language within those spot bills, so we added them to the watch list based on that. But as those bills start to be amended and fleshed out, there may be additional positions that need to be taken. But at this point, we have identified 31 bills that would be relevant to the district that where we would want to take a position. I'm open for any questions.
Yes, yes, correct. Director Riffle.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Josh, thank you for this very comprehensive list and for the great work that you do. Excuse me. I just had a couple of questions as I went through them, and maybe if you could just clarify. So SB 240, the surplus state real property, so recommended oppose. And I was just wondering, that was kind of a convoluted bill. I was just wondering, why
Yeah.
are we not supporting that?
I guess the interpretation, and our general counsel may want to expound on this further, but it was removing exemptions for surplus lands based on park and open space criteria that are typically within the Surplus Lands Act.
Oh, I see. So it would move it away from what would be beneficial for us. Is that what you're saying?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, that's a good reason to oppose. That then brings up the kind of the second broader category of we've spent a lot of time talking about RENA and the whole requirement for housing and so on. I didn't really see any specific bills here about
Yes.
trying to. So you know where I'm going. If you could just
Yeah,
where are we with
I mean,
this?
we are responding to legislation that's been initiated.
Yeah.
So if no one did that, last year there was, I believe it was AB 1445 by Assembly Member Mark Levine.
Yeah.
That bill, we took a support position on, and it passed. And that bill would adjust the RENA allocation process, the Regional Housing Needs Allocation process,
Yeah.
based on climate risk. So wildfire, flooding, drought, potentially extreme heat.
Yeah.
It served as a proxy for natural and working lands, we felt. So that was a step in that direction to address some of the concerns we have regarding sprawl into natural and working lands. In addition to that, actually, I believe the meeting is next week. HCD and the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Office of Planning and Research are kicking off their RENA 7 process. And there is an effort with us and our partners to bring greater awareness about the need to integrate the needs of natural and working lands into urban growth planning. And we've already had some preliminary discussions also with the Strategic Growth Council in that regard. 30 by 30 is a great proxy for us to serve as a counterpoint to the RENA process. So not legislation per se, but a process that we will be looking to influence in order to protect.
Okay, great, thanks. I have about two others. Should I keep
Yeah.
going? Okay.
Yes.
This one's it's a little bit. I couldn't help but comment on this one. AB 233, local government animal waste disposal horses.
Yes.
You wanted to see if I was reading this, didn't you?
Yeah, I think with that one, it was it's about local control. So the ability to control that issue. From what I understand, we already have our own positions locally, but it provides additional support with regard to, I think it was a question, horse waste.
Yeah, and yeah, I was just wondering, definitely agree with our policy of don't put it in the parking lots or throw it around. I mean, that's fine. I was just wondering, oh my gosh, are we going to head to the trail issue? I would hope not, but I don't know. Maybe the
Yeah, I
public's sick of
think
it.
it really gives us discretion
Yeah,
to have that,
okay.
to have that discussion.
Okay, all right. Okay. I was really happy to see AB 1042, the Department of Pesticide Regulation, Sustainable Pest Management Work Group.
Yeah, it's a limited duration effort.
Yeah.
I believe it's 2 years, but it's been a continuing discussion, and hopefully this will help to bring some additional clarity to the
Great.
Use of pesticides, particularly in with the work that we do with integrated pest management.
Perfect. Yeah, so happy to see that. And then finally, I was confused by AB 1469, the Santa Clara Valley Water District. It's the Water District Act. We've already got a water district. What do they, what's the, I don't understand what the purpose of that is.
Let's see here, 1469. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I refreshed my memory here. So you may be familiar with some of the homeless encampments.
Oh, yeah.
Along the waterways.
Not intimately, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of our primary motivations when we supported Measure A in Santa Clara County. It was a $900 million bond in 2018, I think it was, to provide affordable housing. In fact, as you know, Measure A funds are being used at 330
right.
Distal.
Right.
But the intent there was to find housing for homeless individuals and get them out of these situations where they're contaminating. I mean, it's a danger to them and a danger to the riparian corridor.
Absolutely. Okay, I see. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, Director Gleason.
Yeah, this is going to be a new guy question. So I have to say, I'm really glad that we have you and other smart people who can understand these things and sort them out, because I've rarely felt so incompetent as when I was trying to read through the details of these priorities. So my question is more general. I was wondering if you could just sort of explain, maybe if you pick out something that's a priority 1, something that's a priority 2 that you might have, sort of, you're not directly trading them off, but you're sort of evaluating, which one is going to be on top. Could you just describe with some examples how you make those trade-offs?
Yeah, it's really a matter of what, how we allocate resources. When we see something that has a very direct impact with us, or something that may need some additional input throughout the year, we generally target those as priority 1. Priority 2 bills, we send a support letter, or in some cases, a letter of opposition. Generally with the opposition letters, we'll start with a conversation with the author to see if we can not have to do that. But ultimately, if they're not amenable to making adjustments, then we will directly oppose a bill. But the priority 1 bills are the ones that tend to have the biggest impact. And in these cases, the state budget this year is going to fall significantly short of the revenue expectations. So we're already seeing in the governor's January proposed budget significant cuts, particularly to areas that are meaningful to us. Coastal Conservancy is one of the biggest because it's a flexible source of funding, and they've worked with us on a wide variety of projects: wildfire, trails, any number of issues. So that would be a priority 1 bill because we rely on those funds for a significant amount of work. Yeah, I guess I'd have to go down the list here. 1195 not only provides funding for climate resilience, but it also has a workforce development component to it that's important, particularly to our land and facilities department, creating a pipeline of green jobs to help with land stewardship. 1567 is a $15 billion bond. So because of those budget shortfalls, there's a proposal to backfill with a bond. So we want to see it at the table as part of that discussion. This is actually a continuation of a bill from last session, but that was put on the shelf because we had this $100 billion surplus. There was no need to talk about a bond. Now that there is, they've brought it back and they've augmented it significantly. They've practically doubled the size of it. So there are significant opportunities to ensure that funding, in addition to the Coastal Conservancy funding, for issues that are meaningful to us. And we're certainly working with our partners on this as well. AB 411 is dedicated trail funding, and they've called out natural surface recreation trails, which is particularly important because oftentimes trail funding is associated with transportation, and paved trails. There's a lot of funding out there for paved trails, much less for natural surface recreation trails. The AB 400 would make our design build efforts permanent. A little history. When we first gained the ability to use design build contracting methods, we were a pilot within a pilot. So we had a 5-year pilot within a 10-year pilot, and we were able to make our 5-year pilot last year permanent with AB 2789. So we are on the 10-year pilot bandwagon, and that 10-year pilot applied to cities and counties and gave them the ability to use design build. So now it's their turn to see about removing the sunset provision. So we have a keen interest in, maintaining our ability to use that. And then two more. We have the AB 584. That helps with, it raises the amount under disaster conditions in the coastal zone. You can waive permitting under for issues that occur during a natural disaster, but it raises the threshold for that permitting from $25,000 project to $125,000. Just the cost of doing business is increased, so we need that flexibility. Certainly pertinent today with all the damage that we've sustained. And then finally, AB 1042 was the pest management group. And we have a very robust IPM program. Actually, Cody Cifuentes is here to, if necessary, to talk to some of this, but that is integral to all of our work, including our wildfire program.
Thanks, that was great.
My question, if you could expand on AB 99, it's the one about state highway vegetation management. And you're recommending oppose unless amended.
Yeah,
and I couldn't get the details.
We're in a conversation with Assemblymember Connolly's office right now about that. It was banning the use of pesticides for roadside weed management.
Mm-hmm.
And the concern there is that the weeds don't stop at the edge of the road or within the right of way. So it removes an important tool that Caltrans uses with its thousands of miles of of roads that they're responsible for. And that lack of that tool creates risk to properties proximate to those roads. We're looking at trying to make that a little more flexible, let the science make the decision. And that is currently going back and forth. We're working with our partners like California Invasive Plant Council to figure out what's a good middle ground there. We understand there's always a push, and we certainly pursue that as well to limit the use of pesticides as much as possible. But there are circumstances where it is necessary, and I think it's just we're looking to avoid absolutist positions, particularly when they're imposed.
There's a lot of opposition to spraying on 84 and Highway 1, and I can see there are times when we need to spray.
Yeah, I have a question, follow-up question. Is that okay? Well, I mean, I am actually, I'm kind of interested in this because this is exactly what we need for the state of California, right? It's that we want to reduce, and it does say, opposes it, let me say, except where there's no alternative vegetation management practices feasible. So it does give them an out. And then it talks about state of emergency if there's wildfire, et cetera. So it seems like there's some conditions. So It would seem that we would do a, support with conditions or something, but I'm kind of really surprised at this, actually.
Yeah, and Cody has been part of that discussion with the author's office.
Good evening, Cody C. Fuentes Winter, Senior Resource Management Specialist. Thank you for bringing this up. So what I wanted to talk about in regards to this specific bill is the fact that it is a sort of blanket. We're not going to be using pesticides. And what we really want people to understand is that an IPM approach, an integrated pest management approach, is the science-based solution to many of our problems. And a simple declaration of pesticides are no longer should be used sort of throws the baby out with the bathwater in a way. There is some grave concerns on my part in terms of the presence of invasive species along roadways, Highway 280, Highway 84, and Highway 1 are all really impacted right now by Dipteria, which is a stinkwort. It is spreading very rapidly along those corridors. In addition, in terms of fire resiliency, the presence of non-native annual grasses increases frequency of fires. It doesn't increase the intensity of fires, but it makes them more likely to happen and more likely to spread into other areas. And so there's a grave concern about these annual grasses, and mowing does reduce that risk. But then you're talking about multiple mowings over multiple times, increasing safety risks to both Caltrans, but also increasing climate change issues. You're mowing now instead of 1 year and doing an application of pesticides or something like that. Well, now you're going and mowing multiple times per the year, spreading out and creating more of an issue there. Mowing many times will spread invasive species, and we've seen this evidence even on our trails. At Long Ridge, we have goat grass, which is a pretty nasty invasive weed, and we can actually see the spread of it by our mowing. So I've actually talked with our land facilities, and we actually reverse engineered it in a way. Instead of mowing one way, we mow the other way. So you mow from a clean spot to a dirty spot versus a dirty spot into a clean spot, and that really helps. We can be very judicious the way we do that by looking at these site-specific. When you're Caltrans and you have thousands upon thousands of miles, there's just no way that they're going to be able to do that. And so there's that concern. In addition, one last thing just to mention is the fact that many species with mowing of them, they respond very differently than what you would think. So French broom is a great example where when you mow a French broom plant, the taproot of that plant actually splits and becomes 2 to 3 different ones, making it that much harder to get it out. And it actually makes it more bushier and increases the fire risk greatly after 3 years. So you can see this along many freeways where they've just done mowing on French broom, such as Highway 17, where we're seeing the French broom is now starting to take off because of the mowing that happened there. So what we're asking is for a IPM approach to this work, and not just a blanket, no, we shouldn't be doing this, but taking a scientific approach to these sort of things.
Well, I guess my comment is, yeah, I think IPM is great, since we do, but IPM is great, assuming that we do work towards a linear drop in the pesticide use over time. Is that
is correct? Yeah. So remember that Caltrans, they have a different mission than Midpen does, and so they are responsible for making sure to maintain the safety along these roadways. And I agree with broadcast spraying is never a good thing. It's just not. When you're not taking into account what's going on that site. And so that's why we're pushing more towards the IPM approach. And it's not so much about getting rid of the weeds necessarily, but thinking about it in a different way of what should they be doing, and they should be doing an IPM approach. But saying that they shouldn't be doing something is sort of like another way around. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but so it's just a different framework that we're coming from. Here's what we would like to see, IPM. With that comes less use of herbicides when you're doing it correctly.
That's good. Yeah, if there's a way of kind of somehow inserting in your summary that you're proposing an IPM method instead, because it sounds like we're.
Josh, Governmental Affairs. Yeah, I was just pulling up the proposed language that
Okay,
Assemblymember Connolly's office has offered, and it does just that. And
Okay.
it says in those counties that want to prohibit the use, they will prioritize alternative methods
Mhm.
where it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Following on that same one, the low-tech way of doing this is like, are there any of the locations that might be, where the old-fashioned, well, I shouldn't say old-fashioned, where the low-tech version, like goats, because I appreciate that, like, mowing can spread seed, of course it can. And I appreciate the IPM too. And are there any of these situations where we might use goats as they do in other agencies? And I understand this is not like out in the field somewhere, but is that possible, feasible?
And then just for clarification, are you asking about Midpen or Caltrans?
Caltrans,
Caltrans.
yeah.
Cody Winter, Senior Resource Management Specialist. So goats and cattle do have a place in fuel management. Midpen uses them ourselves in select locations. When we're talking about on major freeways or highways or other major roads, there becomes a major safety issue about having cattle or other livestock get out of a fencing and getting onto the road and being hit, causing accidents. So there's a major safety issue in regards to that. They do definitely have their place. And I do know that Caltrans has used goats in the past in certain areas where they have easements that's farther away from the roads where the safety concern is not there. But they are definitely part of the IPM approach. IPM is making sure that you're using biological, manual, mechanical, cultural, and then also chemical in some cases. So making sure that all the tools are there. So it definitely has a place. But in many cases, using livestock along major roads is a major safety concern.
So I can appreciate and, I'm sympathetic to the safety issues, but there hasn't been, with all the innovations that are coming, there's not a way that, movable pins or something like that to, nothing like that has ever come along that's a feasible way to accomplish this. Seems like not.
Cattle have a way of finding out where
I
the
was
weak
talking
spots
about,
are.
I was talking about goats in particular.
And goats, they have ways of finding how to get out. Is there a way? Yeah, it is feasible, but there is a great risk there.
Okay.
And so,
And I would also say that this is, Caltrans would have to make those context-specific assessments
Mhm,
as far
yeah.
as what's appropriate and
Yeah.
looking to use those alternatives.
Yeah. I'm just looking for avoidance of the chemicals. So,
yeah, and in one case, Caltrans was looking at Highway 84 and using herbicides. In Midpen, we did raise our hand asking them not to do that in specific locations.
okay.
We do know where our sensitive natural species are. And in that case, that is why we reached out to them. And they ended up not spraying in that location because we knew that we had listed species in that area. So that's another great aspect of collaboration between different agencies, is letting them know, hey, we know these lands very, very well, and talking with them to try to help them to adjust what treatments they're using and how can we go about this with the least amount of impact.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I have two more comments.
I
Um,
I got a quick
Yes,
humorous
Direct-
thing if you'd like.
what is that?
Well, in terms of corralling goats where you want them, my uncle lived up in Washington State, and what he would do is he would take his one goat and stake it, and the goat would eat a circle. And when that was done, he would move the stake. And you notice, but 3 circles later, you could park your cars where you wanted them. So that was an annual event.
Okay, thank you.
I had 2 other questions.
Okay, All right, so and then Director Gleason, and then I just want, just a reminder, we do have 2 more items after this.
Okay, so one of my questions was, what page is this? I guess it's the first page of the staff report. Come here, come on. Yeah, first page of staff report at the bottom. And it says that February 17 of this year was a submittal deadline for new bills by state assembly and assembly members and senators. And this was reviewed by the board and LAFPAC last year. So I'm wondering, like, were there?
Oh, that was the legislative program. And that's the guidebook that we use to evaluate bills.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's attached to the staff report.
Okay, so there weren't actually new because, but I thought the deadline was February 17 too.
It was for legislation. So we bring to you the legislative program generally at the end of the prior year. These are our values. These are our priorities
Mhm,
from an issue perspective.
right.
And then through that lens, we apply it to the legislation that we encounter when it's finally released. We tend to wait until that release deadline because, I mean, just in the last day before February 17th, they introduced 1,000 bills. So it just helps to have everything in front of you, and then we start wading through it.
Yeah, so that's my question. Maybe I'm not understanding. I mean, I've been through this before and I don't remember coming across this before, but so what my question is between December, I think is when the board looked at this, or November, whichever it was, December. But between December 14, there it is, December 14 and February 17, I mean, just what you're saying, like there were new bills that were submitted.
And we didn't take any positions.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we just held them. We tagged them, and that we just, recommend support. We'll wait until today. And then ultimately if you go into each one of these bills, there's an introduction date.
Mhm,
Some of them are quite early,
Yeah.
just
right.
the session actually started this, I believe it was December 6th.
Mhm.
So between then and February 17th, we've been accumulating bills of interest. And then we evaluated them and brought them to you.
Okay,
Okay, did you have one more question?
that sort of answers my question. It's like, I think I'm being dense on that one. I did have one, and I'm wondering if I can pull it up quickly enough to be
Should I come back to you?
efficient. Yeah, come back to me if you would, please.
Okay. Let's see, Director Gleason, did you?
I'm back on the vegetation management bill. So currently it's a priority and it's opposed. If you get the change that you want, does it become a priority to support, or how does it change?
It really depends on the change. I suspect we would go neutral.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Then I have 2 quick questions, which was just, so we had talked about the 200,000 authority. That's not one of these?
No.
Okay.
I think General Manager Ruiz spoke to that yesterday.
And there's no such bill at this point.
Well, there is a bill that was initiated but is now rendered inactive,
Oh, okay.
and we're looking to salvage that.
I see. And there was no bill about PG&E and.
Not yet.
Okay.
Of those 1,000+ spot bills,
Uh-huh.
it could easily be one.
I see. Okay. I was kind of expecting to hear about that.
Yes.
Okay, Director Holman, did you find one, or should we?
Yeah, I did find it, and it's a clarification, maybe. It's AB 411.
Oh, yes. The trails bill.
Yeah, and it's some of the wording. If you go about halfway down in the description, it says, including but not limited to urban forestry projects, acquisition of enhancement of resource lands. And here's the one that I have the question about. Projects to mitigate the impact of proposed transportation facilities or to enhance the environment. So proposed transportation facilities. So is this going to go hand in glove with the Caltrans one that has passed, that where Caltrans has to evaluate and mitigate impacts on Caltrans routes? Caltrans routes?
Caltrans routes.
Yeah. Is this kind of hand in glove with that? but it says proposed transportation facilities, so.
Yeah, that would probably fall under the advanced mitigation area for if it's a proposed transportation project where they anticipate impacts.
Okay. So for instance, if, not saying they are, but so if Caltrans, I'm just making this up, if Caltrans is proposing widening 84, for instance. So this could be, I mean, I'm totally making that up. So don't get scared. This could help with that in terms of mitigating impacts of such an action.
Yeah, yes, I mean, they will be developing specific guidelines, but yes, that is a potential scenario.
Okay. That's
Okay.
helpful. Thank you.
Okay. So this does require an action. So are we ready to, I'm ready to accept the motion, or if there's any other questions?
I will, seeing none, I will move the general manager's recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second, and ready for roll call, please?
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you,
well,
Josh.
Thank you for going through all these. Okay. All right. And then we have two items. We had talked at the beginning of the year about getting kind of a refresh on some city department, district departments. And so we're getting two of these tonight. And so just for expectations, should we expect about what, half an hour each, or
We were thinking about 15 minutes.
15 minutes
then
in
any questions
presentation
you might
and
have.
15 minutes each and some Q&A? Okay. Great. Thank you very much. And we're very much looking forward to this.
President Kishimoto, before we start that presentation, I just want to let you know that we did not have any public comment for that item.
Oh, thank you very much.
Good evening, it's Candace Basley, the HR manager. I'm pleased to bring before you and talk to you about the HR department. There we go. So this is, I'm going to give you an overview of our department. This is a word cloud that was generated, I think it's by staff input. And I'm going to speak to you tonight about our structure and our functions. And as you know, with word clouds, the biggest words are kind of what people think of you the most. And I think support and of employees is really what we're all about. And that shows forth in and this is our own department mission statement. The HR department, we further overall mission by recruiting, retaining, developing a diverse, bright, curious, and energetic staff. That's always been our mantra since I've been here for the last 10 years. And ensuring a safe and collaborative workforce. We're known for our collaboration. And we foster strong employee relations and maximize personal interdepartmental performance through consulting, problem solving, resolution, and provision of high quality service to all prospective people possibly coming, current and past employees. We still have relationships with our retirees as well. So that's just our basic department mission statement. I promise I'll go faster. And then I also think it's important for you to understand how we sit in the org chart. We're part of the administrative services business line, if you will, and along with other strong support, IST, finance, procurement, budget. Our department sits and we report directly to the CFO, who obviously reports to our general manager. So just so you get a sense of where we sit, this is where we sit in the agency. And then the next slide shows our own, the department org chart and our staff. I am so pleased to be working with every single one of these people. As you see, I'm the HR manager. Rebecca Wolf is our HR supervisor. I'm going to have a test and see which one who's who knows who's who. But anyway, our HR supervisor, Rebecca. We have one management analyst, which is Mindy Vargas, also another management analyst who is Nisha Ting. We have a training and safety specialist, which is Heather Ryder, and also our HR technician, Melissa De La Certa, and then our HR tech, she's half-time, and she splits her time between us and accounting or finance, and that's Lisa Jenkinson. And so that's who we are, and I'll tell you more about what we do moving forward. So I think it's really important for you to understand that the HR department, we're full service. Remember back in the day when you used to go to the gas station, for those of you who know what full service, when they actually used to do stuff like wash your windows, and well, we don't wash windows, but we do everything that an HR department does, different from, say, some agencies or companies. The HR functions are not centralized in the department, but are out in the department. Say they have people that do their recruiting or do different aspects of HR, or they outsource a lot of that. We do it all. So that's why we have the number that we have, and we basically do it all. And these are the key functions: recruitment, class and comp, benefits, performance management, employee relations, training, development and recognition, safety, compliance and policy, workforce planning, and of course, our latest, I like to look those as petals of that flower, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, all of these things. So our recruitment process. When I first started working here 10 years ago, 10 years ago, managers would come up to me and say, "When are you going to do my recruitment?" That was kind of scary. So what we did was come up with, over time, we've evolved and gotten bigger. So we have a process for how the recruitments are done. Internally, the HR staff meets together, and the key team that works on recruitments would be me, the HR supervisor, Rebecca, and their two HR management analysts, Mindy and Nisha. And we talk about what recruitments are coming down the pipeline. Then we have meetings each month with our executive team, which includes our CFO, my direct manager, and the two AGMs. And in those meetings, we prioritize, we strategize, we set up timelines for recruitment, and we talk about any staffing challenges. So we kind of foresee things. And then after we get our marching orders, so to speak, right, we get a marching orders from them, from that crew. Yes. And then we work directly with the departments. I say supervisors, but we work a lot with either the managers or the supervisors over the recruitments to coordinate all the recruitments that happen. And so this is a visual of the projects. This is a Gantt chart in a snapshot of, say, 9 months of, and it's not so important for you to see the details of, but I just want you to see how we lay out. Each recruiter has so many recruitments that they're working on, and we stagger them. For resources, we have to get panels and all kinds of things go into their projects, basically. So I wanted you to see that, but we are, we work these out with the executive team, and then we work with the departments to make them happen. So recruitment has always been job one, and I think we're pretty good at getting very talented staff. We're known for that, and training staff, and I'm really proud of the work that we do and the effort that our staff put into recruitment. So moving forward. Then a couple of fast facts related to recruitment. So for this fiscal year, we have budgeted 191.45. That sounds like a weird number of full-time equivalent employees. Some of like maybe half-time for, say, an intern or different positions where we split folks into. So that's kind of one of the facts. So that's for the fiscal year, but and we look at our numbers like turnover annually, but we don't process that until the end of the fiscal year. So that's why I'm telling you things that happened for the fiscal year ending 22. So we had a 10.8% turnover, a little higher than normally. Normally we're like down to 7s or 6, but that was the year when people decided, oh, COVID's over, let me look around and see what I want to do. And then, but we got some good people because of that as well. Other kind of facts are demographics are broke down 57% male, 43% female. interesting facts, we also look at the generational breakdown, which is changing over time. So I think if you look at this, the boomers are kind of narrowing out, and so it's sliding out, and the Gen Xers are, and the boomers kind of represent a couple of the managers. Most of the managers are kind of more in the Gen X, kind of sliding kind of towards, and they don't want me to tell you this, but kind of in there. And then, but they're supervising more millennials. You see our workforce is 45% millennials. So that's where we're getting the growth. And then we're starting to get a few of those like 25-year-old Gen Zs coming in. So it's interesting to look at how our workforce is shifting. And we track that. And then we really are focused on promoting staff. So 4% of staff were promoted. And let me move faster because I'm taking more time than I said I would. Okay, so the other function, so that's that function, class and compensation and benefits. I put pictures here of our benefits. Those are the benefits that show up online that kind of list out things that you know about, like sick leave and all those things. And then down here, it shows you our class and comp plan, which is basically our salary schedule. And everybody wants to know the salary schedule, and that's listed online. But the key things here is that I, as a manager, work with the HR supervisor and the HR technician to make sure that all of our classifications, job specs and things are up to date and revised. We work as a team to make that happen. And any reclassification work, obviously, we're kind of the feet and legs. Obviously, the general manager and the exec work with us as well. But in our department, we're the folks that kind of manage that. And then in terms of compensation, we work really closely also with consultants like Coffin Associates who do the outside checking for us when we want to have an outside consultant look at salary surveys. They work with us. We do our own comps as well. And with compensation, we look at internal equity and alignment. So we're looking at equity between positions and alignment so that the pay makes sense, but we're also looking at the market when it comes to compensation. The other thing that's important, I mentioned, we also have been working with, our tech works with us heavily on our HRIS systems, meaning our systems, we have to build employees to control their data, keep track of their data. No longer do we have the big, long filing cabinets. We have gone paperless. And so with that, we've been putting things on Laserfish. I double checked that, Laserfish, to make sure that, because I was talking to Casey about that earlier today, but the bottom line is that we're trying to get things so that we're not pushing paper, but we have data that we can get to over time with our retention policy about how long we need to keep things. We've been working really hard, and that was a coup to help happen for us. And then we also have implemented a new HRS system, new time card system. A lot of work goes into those bullet points that are there to make systems run, and things that people don't need to know about, but the work that has to happen when you get a new employee in the life cycle of an employee, you have to build an employee in the system and track all their data confidentially and updating it and making sure people get bottom line paid correctly. So, so that's key work that happens for us. Another function, performance management. Performance management is just like it sounds. It includes performance evaluations, supporting supervisors doing that kind of work to make sure that they're getting the advice and coaching and the resources and training to do that. And then evaluations. We obviously give annual evaluations for every employees. And we work with folks to make sure that that happens. And then the compensation is given or any kind of increases are given correctly. And we have a strong auditing trail around that as well. So, and all that happens in our systems as well. So this is the work of performance management. And I mentioned legal in there too. So legal gets involved sometimes just when we have special needs. And then employee relations, coming to the table for negotiations, which we're working on now. We work to make sure that we get our MOUs, our contracts with our represented groups. And also HR works on any kind of policies for just general staff. And in any kind of applicable new laws, we have internal policies and policy for staff, administrative policies to help us know how to apply any laws that come into play. And we, HR, we're the conduit between the employees and the management. All right, like sometimes like peanut butter between the, anyway, in the sandwich. Basically, we represent the staff to management, but also management to staff. So we try to be that open door so that we can speak to both sides and help everyone get the work done, basically, for the good of the organization. And then training and development and recognition. The entire HR department supports this function from the standpoint of we have mandatory training. People have been trained on what harassment, how many times, all the, if everyone knows not to harass people, at least around me. And and then also just developmental, in all seriousness, though, this is one of the most, we put a lot of emphasis on development and training and make a lot of opportunities for staff to get and learn how to do their jobs more effectively and grow. And then we have ad hoc kinds of trainings that come up, say if something happens and we're like, we need to know more about violence prevention, or this topic came up and that we need more of. So we do those kinds of training. We make sure that happens. To that, we have internal and external leadership academies. We work with Santa Clara County and send our staff to their great leadership academy, but we've also created our own internal leadership academy where we train leads and supervisors. And this year, we've just brought forth our strategic leadership training series for our management team and executive staff, where our managers and execs are learning, also continuing to develop their skills. We supply coaching for staff and supervisors. Sometimes teams might need a little bit more coaching and support. A manager or individual might need coaching. We identify what kind of coaching they need, and we try to get either we help them ourselves or get external coaching and support for them. And then also we have the staff recognition event to acknowledge people's years of service. And our team all work to make this happen. And let's see, almost done, folks. Safety, compliance, and policy. This is basically the manager, the HR supervisor, and our training and safety specialists. Of course, we comply with the federal, state, and local regulations and OSHA to make sure that we stay safe, safety first. We work through workers' compensation claims. We're fortunate. We don't have a whole lot of claims. We've won awards for having not so few claims and good workplace safety. And we put policies and procedures in place. I can't say enough about, the strength of a tea by putting in hot water, and COVID was our hot water for safety. And I'm really grateful that we were able to get through that successfully meaning there were no outbreaks. Back in the beginning, it was like, are we going to die? I mean, and things were changing daily. And our training and safety specialist really was vigilant to make sure that she helped drive all the work to keep us safe. Obviously, along with our management and our general manager, I can't say enough about her leadership. And it took that village of support to get the work done. So anyway, so that's just a small window of the safety, but a lot of safety work happens. And then workforce planning. The manager and our management analysts, we track and report on the employee demographics. Like I mentioned, we monitor trends and identify future staffing needs. And we work a lot with the executive to talk about strategies of when we're having problems with recruitments, what can we do? We work with the departments, do that. The departments are very vigilant about trying to problem solve and work collaboratively with us. And we work on succession planning. We have a succession planning org chart, and we identify kind of along with where people are in their journeys, their life cycle, their career, and what we anticipate to happen in each one of the departments. So that's another one of our functions. And then lastly, the newest petal to the flower is our diversity, equity, and inclusion. Although this is not a new policy, the board worked on a policy, I believe is in 2014 or 2016. You all had developed a policy, but through, I guess it was 2020, and all the activities that happened, diversity, equity, and inclusion have come to the forefront. And I've been fortunate to be able to help with those efforts. And we are excited because we're going to be recruiting for a DEI HR management analyst. They're going to be seated in the HR department, support the DEI efforts organization wide, but the key focus will be on recruitment, selection, retention, promotion, and inclusion. So not just bringing people here of diversity, but actually including them and helping them promote up. And because there's strength in diversity, obviously, and our workforce is diverse, and we're going to grow in that. And also around training and support of cultural awareness and competency. So excited about a lot more to come on that. You're going to hear a lot more on that in the future. So just a little window there. So bottom line, human resources, 360. When I say 360, we're here to support all the efforts for the mission of the district. We are data-driven and people-driven. So we look at the data, we focus on metrics, we check how we're doing, but then we're here to support staff. One of the things that when I bring people on board, I talk about having positive regard for all people that we serve. No matter how frustrated you may be, how many times you shared something with someone or whatever, we're here to support and the baseline of positive regard for all staff, no matter what issue is going on, no matter negotiations or whatever. That's one of our key tenets in our department, to have that positive regard. And that's for the public, the board, and all employees. We have an open door policy. I'd like to also think of us as an amoeba. Someone could talk to any one of us and we will all be able to respond and direct to the right person with the right specialty skill to help. So that's our open door. And we have over 100 years of experience. We're not that old, but it represent, actually it's 109 years of experience in HR in our department. And with that, I am grateful to and very fortunate to have a really strong team of dedicated, flexible, resilient professionals committed to support the mission and the people here of the district. So I think that's my last slide. Do you have any questions? How much time was that, Casey?
Okay, wow. Well, thank you so much. That is so impressive, especially as you say, considering how much our organization has changed and grown over the last 10 years alone, and through COVID. So it was sure there's going to be a lot of questions. Yeah, I'll go with that, Director Riffle.
Just a quick request as well as a question. The question is, you showed some numbers. Are there any numbers there that concern you?
I don't think any of the numbers, no, I don't think any of the numbers concern me. My experience have been when we've seen things like, say, when the turnover gets higher, whenever we focus on, it usually improves. Whenever we put a strategy together, we can change things. That's been my experience here at the district. So no, I don't have any concern right now.
So you're not focused on anything right now? I mean,
as
far as getting a number.
We're focused on a lot of things, but I think we're just really trying to, I think the main thing we're focused on is a lot on compensation to keep in touch with the market. And we notice, so for instance, inflation that happened,
right.
We responded.
Right.
The board gave us, 4%,
Right.
So when things happen, we try to communicate it and get on top of it.
Great.
So we're just vigilant about a lot of things.
Great. And my quick request then is this, I would love to get a briefing on how we're doing with our DEI. So maybe sometime through the year is a kind of this type of thing of just specifically on that area. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say for the briefing on DEI, I've been talking to Candace and Jay Mark, our planning manager, who are both the managers leading, if you will, or helping to support the staff committee on our DEI work. will probably be ready sometime in the summer is what I understand, right?
Yes, yes.
Great, thank you. Thanks
Uh-huh.
for great work.
Thank you.
Director Holman.
Well, first is as a comment, which is, in my next life, I want to work for you. I mean, your attitude, which is so can-do and positive and such a sense of humor. I really appreciate your style. So I don't know what you're like behind closed doors upstairs, but no, truly, thank you for all you do. I was going to ask a question too about the DEI information. So thank you for that. And you can respond to this or not. It's your call on this. I've always had this kind of respect and kind of like what would you say about respect, and also this concern, if you will, about HR, because I think it is such a delicate balance. Should there be a concern, it's such a really delicate balance about how you recognize and putting the organization at the top, which you made reference to, but there's still this delicate balance of like the employee and the organization and how you fairly do that. And you don't need to respond to that, but it's unless you want to, but I have regard for people who can do that. You've been doing this for 10 years in the same organization. So I really appreciate that.
Well, Director Holman, I want to thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate them, just your recognition. And I have great staff, and we have great staff in this organization. And we say that, but it's true. And part of what makes my job easier is that when we hire well, and people are here for the mission, you get what you pay for. and it shows forth in the staff. And in terms of that, we do walk that tightrope. We do, between, this issue and that issue. But three things I tell my staff when we think about is like, okay, when we're asked to do something, first we got to put it through our rubric. Is it illegal? Is it immoral? Or is it unethical? And if it's not one of those things, then okay, we get to go. And then learning that there's more than one speed of how to do things. Sometimes we have to slow things down and get more information. Sometimes we have to go fast because we're trying to get that good employee before they get snatched up. So I have very strong staff. We've been very fortunate to be able to draw really strong staff in HR and all the other departments as well. And I think we've got good managers that bring good staff as well. So the good begets the good. And that's really true here at Midpen.
And the onboarding policies that we have, the probationary onboarding policies we have, I think are really critical too, because anybody who's been in management for any number of years at all knows that some people interview really well and might, the downsides may not show up for a while. And just lastly, I will never hear the word laserfish without thinking of you.
Yes, sir. No, you're next.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think, I've been really, really impressed with all the staff I've met. So you're doing a very, very good job. I wanted to ask about the DEI committee. Is that focused on the organization itself, or is it focused externally as well?
So we have a broad DEI committee, but right now we have two subcommittees, and one subcommittee is focused on recruitment selection, and the other is focused on more of the external linkings of community engagement and also drawing, visitors into our land. So we kind of have an internal and external focus that we're looking at, but the overarching umbrella is this DI for the whole organization. So yes, it's not just internal, but it's external as well.
Yeah, great. I'd love to hear more about that in the future as well. I just wanted to ask about the 4% promotions. Is that sounds low?
Yeah, this past year was a little lower. We've had higher. I think some of it was like I said, this was the year after COVID. And so while we've had a lot of promotions movement this year as well. When I say this year, the fiscal year we're in right now. So it was a little bit lower than previous years. But yet and still we're on the move. We're having a lot of people move up, and we call them domino effects. Like someone is promoted and then all the dominoes fall. And yeah, so it's a lot, particularly out in the field. We've had a lot of movement in the fields, like in land and facilities. Right? Any other questions?
Yes, Director Sear.
Not a question, but just a compliment. I've been with the district a long time. And one of the things that I tell everyone who asks a question or makes a suggestion is this far and away is the most cohesive, creative, and friendly staff of any organization I've been affiliated with. And obviously HR is a key element of that. And the number of folks that we brought on board whom I haven't even had a chance to meet yet is really kind of staggering over the last 5-6 years. And to have those folks flow into the culture of the organization smoothly and be able to be productive, I think is a real testament to everybody, but appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
If I can add just a little bit, unless there's other comments. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Should I go ahead? Well, I was just wanted to ask if you had any comments on, of course, one dramatic change has been the whole remote work and, the COVID. And I don't know if you do do you do regular employee surveys, or how do you keep your pulse on just overall morale, et cetera?
Well, at the general manager's request, we have had various surveys to take the pulse. And we also, like I said, it's kind of funny because each of our HR folks, people will talk to different people because maybe they connect more with this person. So that's how we keep our pulse on what's going on. We talk a lot to people, and and we read a lot, and everyone's kind of struggling with this whole hybrid thing. I mean, there are pros and cons to it, but the truth of the matter is, in talking to my colleagues, the first thing that people want when they come in is their hybrid workforce. Can we do that? So, but we're struggling with it because there's definitely advantages to being face-to-face with people, getting work done. And there are advantages to people not having to commute hours and be worn out. We're road warriors, so it's that balancing act, but we are looking at it. And I think in the future, we'll do more. We are doing different kinds of surveys right now. We're working on a survey around the staff recognition event, looking at reusing that, reviving that, and so we're constantly looking at, okay, where are the hot spots? What are people talking about, and how we can address staff morale.
So I just wanted to say a few words and just really thank Candace for her leadership. She, with her staff, are constantly spinning plates and keeping those going. And I keep adding new plates and they keep going. DEI is sort of a new emphasis, and so was the strategic leadership training program that has just started as well. So, and also Candace, I consider her one of my thought partners, that we have many conversations, deep conversations about the organization. And she's just been incredible for Midpen. And I just want to thank her for her leadership, for her thoughtfulness, for keeping those plates going and allowing me to add more to them. It's been incredible to work with you, Candace.
Well, I serve at your pleasure, and the boards, and I appreciate your leadership as well.
Oh, okay.
So thank you.
Well, on behalf of the board, we thank you as well. So.
Okay. Where's the photo from? Where's the photo from? What? Long Ridge? Okay, thanks, Brian.
I was ready for that one.
Okay.
I tried to ask it before somebody else did.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Candace. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Good evening, Board. Corey Skinner, Public Affairs Manager, and I am going to follow Candace's fabulous presentation with a Public Affairs Department overview.
Yes, welcome.
Okay, our purpose for public affairs is to build trust by making clearly visible the purposes and actions of MidPen and by actively encouraging public input and involvement in MidPen's decision-making process and other activities. And we think of that in layers. That first base foundational level is the public information, getting the facts out there, ensuring that things are accurate and transparent. The second is public engagement, and I think of that in two ways. In addition to the public engagement at meetings and workshops and things like that, we have various outreach and engagement activities. I consider the website and to some extent the social media engagement channels. Then we venture into risk management, crisis communications, what Josh just presented to you. I consider that risk management. It's building relationships with legislative to kind of head off those issues that may come up. And then the top sort of layer is what I consider strategic intelligence. And I would call that sort of market understanding, what's going on out there, looking way, way ahead to see the issues that are coming toward us, and trying to put those into context and ensure that we're ready for them. So public affairs in all that we do kind of span those different layers. The way that we do that is through different channels. And the technical term for the channels that we can control is owned media. Makes sense, right? We can control what's in those spaces. And that first and foremost for us is our openspace.org website that is much more robust than in previous editions and much more mobile friendly. We have two different newsletters. Open Space Views is a quarterly print publication. It then also gets put out digitally after the print edition. So it is actually also an e-newsletter. And then our Plug into Nature e-newsletter is monthly. So we just use the views content in the Plug into Nature during that month, but it does also have additional like things that didn't make the print edition that has a 6 weeks lead time. Social media, as you've heard in our presentations, is a newer channel for us, but by far one of our largest reach channels. And we use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube as our primary vehicles. We did some tests with TikTok, and we are exploring a new opportunity to use Nextdoor without, they previously wanted $40,000 a year to use their platform, and they have changed their mind on that. So we are exploring how we might use that. There's some issues around that in terms of how do we, what's our neighborhood? But I think we've found a solution to that by using zip coding. So we would likely use that sparingly because of if any of you are on Nextdoor, there's a lot of commentary on that we avoid for creating a public forum, but we can post to it. So we would be able to use it when we close preserves, for example. And then we use all of our brand resources and collateral. These days, we don't put out a ton of collateral. We still do a small print run of our finance publications. And then we run those in digital too, in PDFs. And then we are still doing preserve maps, and we have a new proposal for how we're going to do an outreach publication that has all of the preserve maps in it. So that's something that we're working on now. And then of course, we're in charge with all the logos and keeping everybody on brand, the PowerPoint templates, things like that. And then we use info@openspace.org is our, I call it our question channel. So anyone from the public can submit a question to us through that channel, and they do. And my staff answers those questions or parses those questions out to the most appropriate staff to answer. And that's one of our benchmarks for our performance metrics, is to have all of those questions answered within 2 business days. And to have 90% of those questions answered in 2 business days. So that's kind of what we call, this is our media that we can control the cadence or frequency of. And so we also do quite a bit with earned media. That's our media relations program, or in the case of this week, our crisis communications program. So that's a lot of time and investment in that. We also cover partnerships. Governmental is what Josh presented to you tonight. That's federal, state, and local governmental, and along with what I would call advocacy partnerships with that, and then also our conservation community partners and our community outreach partners. We also provide public notification assistance to other departments. So when we have public meetings, public workshops, getting that information out to what we call our interested parties lists. And we have that not only by project, but we do it by preserve too, figuring that people are interested in where they go. So we have we have almost 40 different lists that we use for interested parties. And then public engagement assistance. So when they are doing workshops or different tablings, we provide that kind of assistance also. We also have what I would call programs, or maybe more like core functions in kind of the way that we are organized. And that is through editorial content management, essentially. And that is the newsletters, writers, newsletter writing, social media, and website content, legislative relations, media relations, and then community outreach. So that's kind of how we are organized. We each, in addition to the just basic communication skills, we have our team organized by project and preserve. You saw yesterday, I guess it was, the CAP with 130 some projects. We tag our team into priority projects so that there's a communicator involved, particularly if it's a sensitive project or a highly visible project. So that communicator is in there from the beginning, looking at stakeholders, looking at key messaging. Most of you have probably been on the board long enough that you've seen it, or maybe you've received a key message information from me, so that if you get media calls, that you've got those key messages in front of you. And so our priority projects for this current fiscal year are the projects that you might suspect. Cloverdale acquisition, wildland fire resiliency, 2 things that are very notification, communication intensive. And then we're bringing to the board a good neighbor policy update. And then, of course, we completed the 50th anniversary Bear Creek Redwoods Alma opening and a new CRM, or customer relationship. Think of it as the list management. That's where we hold those interested parties lists software update. So those are our priority 1 projects that we did for fiscal year 23. We have a number of priority 2 projects. The awareness survey update, that's coming to you next board meeting, I believe. Alpine Road trail improvements, Highway 17, Newt Crossing, Mountain Lion, and other wildlife research. Hawthorne's public access planning, Parissima Creek, we call that the constellation projects because there's about 4 different projects into that. Rancho multimodal transportation, Stevens Creek shoreline, ag policy and conservation grazing research, La Honda, and then there's a slew of what I call operational improvements, which is our digital asset management, upgrading some of our dam content, records management, our archival storage. And then just different training and procedures. We have a really young and fairly new to the district team, so lots and lots of training and coaching happening. How are we structured and who are we? Hang on, I'm kicking a cord down here. we have a public affairs manager, and underneath that, I have direct reports. I have a supervisor, Leanne Gessner, who handles kind of her areas of expertise, if you will, or core areas of focus are the editorial planning. And then Ryan McCauley, who you saw in the 50th presentations, handles the media relations, is being trained to handle a lot of the media relations under Leanne. And in addition to the project focus, all of my communication leads have preserve focus. So we've divvied the preserves up by, I would call it by audience group. So he has the South area preserves. He has Sierra Azul, Saratoga Gap. So they're talking to kind of the same user groups and same people as they are learning those preserves. And that's just the way that we sort of divvy up the pop-up or the smaller projects. And then we still have for another 3 weeks, our limited term PA specialist one, Eleanor Robb, who's done such a fantastic job on all of our social media content. We also have Natalie Jolly, who you saw also as part of the 50th anniversary. And Natalie's specialty is our community outreach program. She supervises seasonal interns, and we have 2 a year. We try to stagger them so that one is heavy in our outreach season. Most of our tabling happens between April and October. So that's typically a tabling intern, and then also a content intern that also helps out a little bit with our legislative program. We also have a PA specialist too, Andrea De Laura, who took Sydney Bieber's place as the lead for web and social. We have Josh, who you just heard from, and then we have an administrative assistant, Viteria Costa Merritt, who is actually working remotely and through August, and we have a new recruitment happening that just closed last Sunday. So we'll have a new team member. I alluded to this when you asked me a couple of questions last time, and this is that infamous target or communications path. It's also essentially known as a buyer's funnel. And so the way that we use that is as people get to, we're trying to move people toward that center of the funnel. As people get to know the district, they become more engaged. So on the outer ring, you have to be aware that the district exists. Then you have to move toward consideration. Are these preserves right for me? Is there, is there some aspect of my life that the open space preserves connects with? Then you might move into sample. And for us, a sample could be anything from a visit to a web visit to a public meeting, to any way that you might experience the many aspects of MidPen. And then from there, you're in relationship. Maybe you've subscribed to one of our newsletters or e-newsletter, or you followed us on social media. And then your engagement deepens into that deepest thing where you might be a volunteer or a future employee. So we're trying to move people kind of down that knowledge of MidPen. Different messaging works better at different rings of that target. So to get somebody into the awareness, you really need kind of an emotional or inspirational message. And you can move towards the education to take them deeper into consideration. By the time that you get to the sample, you need some sort of an offer. Click here can be the offer. So any kind of an offer there, and you're moving into kind of making a connection with them as they experience multiple visits or multiple aspects. And then we call that center stage, kind of that indoctrination. They're now an insider in that center ring. Different channels, the channels don't measure, like I can't tell you that awareness happens in social media. The channels spread all the way throughout, but the messaging is pretty consistent through where you're trying to get them. And finally, we have kind of the overall vision, kind of the hearts and minds that we are trying to get people to at its most general level for our communications is that vision for the future of MidPen, so that the community and our constituency will see us as innovative, results-driven, science-informed, a strategic leader in all of the things that we do. I think you've heard me talk about how we focus our messaging on that, what I call the middle ground, that resource protection and land management, more so than the preservation or protect the land and the recreation, simply because those two end messages are much easier for people to understand. They have a kind of, they've heard it from every other organization and mostly throughout their lives, so they get those messages. So we focus our communication messages on the things that are much more, well, gee whiz, I didn't know that. I didn't understand the connection between X and Y. So we focus our energies on that to try to build that, what I call conservation 2.0, that understanding of climate resiliency, how those everyday decisions with what we're doing are kind of really long term. And that takes that's much more difficult. It takes a little bit of a stop and figure it out kind of thinking, so that's where our depth of communication is. We also focus a lot of our messaging around partnerships, to engage people in stewardship for all of the different pieces for future generations, and for that idea of inclusion around open space values. What we're really trying to do is drive conservation values through our constituency. So with that, I will entertain any questions.
Oh, wow, fantastic. And I know we just heard from you recently about the banner year that we had last year. So we know, so we are, you know, how appreciative we are. Okay, any questions at this point?
Not a question, but great summary, and really have watched the department grow and kind of get its fingers in lots more pies, and I'm very appreciative of the kind of the vision and then being able to move towards that vision. So thank you very much, Corey.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm also appreciative of kind of that strategic framework that you put around how you structure your efforts. So it makes a lot of sense and makes it very solid. So thank you.
Trying to make the resources stretch as far as we can.
Yes. Okay, well,
If I can add just a few things too.
yes.
I just want to recognize Corey also, because she, you know, I've kept pushing public affairs in different ways. The 50th anniversary year was certainly one of them, where, you know, there was this real goal to have our events and activities really bring in all aspects of our community into the fold and have them be part of the celebration, but then also inspire them to continue to be part of Midpen activities and our values and our work. And, I just want to thank her for continuing to push that envelope, every time a little bit further with all different ideas and stretching herself and the department in new ways that I think have been really, really beneficial for Midpen and for the public. And really understanding, valuing, appreciating, and gaining the benefits of all the work that has happened over the last 50 years. So thank you, Corey.
And thank you. Yeah, I definitely think where the district is now is a transition from where our communications were focused even 5 years ago. They were generally focused on that conservation community and on users, and communicating inside our inner circle. And so we've really tried to expand that and spend more time bringing people into that circle.
Yeah. Director Sear?
Thank you. This is more direct. One of my hiker friends wanted to know when the district is going to get larger vests.
I believe we have those, and someone was supposed to reach out to him. If you will have him well, if you'll give me his contact number. I think we got new ones and somebody was supposed to let him know that.
Okay,
So I will
Thank you.
follow up on that.
Oh, okay.
We do run the online store.
Okay. Okay. Well, so yes, on behalf of the board, again, please accept our appreciation. Yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for these snapshots of the department. I mean, do my colleagues find these useful? Yes. Yes. Okay, very good. So we'll put them in as we can, right? Okay, very good.
Director Kishimoto, we didn't
Yes.
have any public comment for either item.
Okay, okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, so I think we're on to information reports. Are there any committee reports? No committee reports. Okay, staff reports? Assistant General Manager Malone.
Good evening, Brian Malone, Assistant General Manager. Just want to give you an update on a few closures. So we are looking at high winds and then, a rainstorm that's coming in. In particular, the ridge line where we've already had a lot of snow damage. We've decided, at least for the next couple of days, to close some of the skyline area preserves. I won't go through the whole list, but all the skyline area preserves except La Honda and Windy Hill. And then we'll also close the Mount Amanum area of Sierra Azul. And those are expected just to be short-term closures, but we'll evaluate for whether that's needed to extend into the weekend. And then there's two closures that will probably be longer term. So one is the Mindigo parking area in Russian Ridge. So there was a road failure on Alpine Road. The county's monitoring it. They haven't decided to close it yet because it'll have a huge impact to the people that live on Alpine closer to Skyline. Once they close it, which may happen, folks, including our ranger, well, it's a ranger residence, but it's actually a combo ranger residence and maintenance residence because we have a couple that lives there. They'd have to go all the way down to 84 in the backup to get to the Skyline office. So the Mindigo parking lot is beyond that. We've had communications with county roads and they've asked us to minimize travel on that road as it's cracking and falling away. And so we'll be closing that road and then keeping in communication with the county. Probably we'll keep it closed through at least the more rainy season, the rest of the winter, so to speak. And then reevaluate in the spring, depending on what the county has done with Alpine Road. And then the other one we're looking at is we've already closed all the parking at Lower Parisma, and that includes the parking lot. And then we've also temporarily closed the one allowed roadside parking area. And what we're having is still a lot of people coming in and parking illegally in that area. And the neighbors have a lot of concerns as well as emergency response. Typically, when Higgins Canyon Road is open, there's two access points in and out of the community. And right now there's a closure on Higgins Canyon Road. So the majority of Higgins Canyon Road, you have to come up towards the preserve and then out Prisma Creek Road. So we're not gonna do it immediately because we want to notice our neighbors, because there are a lot of neighbors that access the preserve through there, as well as a lot of neighbors that have concerns about the current access, particularly with the limited, one access point. They're concerned about parking and blocking access and that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to notice the neighbors, and then we're going to actually close the trail access to the preserve, because that's really what's encouraging the access there. And just a short closure, people will still be able to hike down from Skyline and then hike back up. But that'll make it clear basically that you can't access the preserve from the bottom. And we'll do a lot of messaging online about that as well. And I expect that there'll probably be neighbors that are used to accessing from the bottom that now have to drive all the way up 92 to the top to access the preserve. that will be, upset about that as well. But in balancing the needs of the community, with the
Mhm.
limited public access on one narrow road, that's what we're looking forward to doing. So I just wanted to update the board on what we were doing.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. And, let us know what the feedback is and if the board can help on them.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the county is trying to secure FEMA funds, and that might accelerate the repairs on Higgins Canyon. If they get funding for it, that might happen sometime in the summer going into the fall, but that could be an extended closure of the road. And if that is extended, we will reevaluate it at that time.
Wow, that long? It might be.
Yeah, so
Closed
we're
into-
already looking to the summer for a good case that, if they close Alpine Road, we would probably be able to reopen Mindigo, because then it would just be clear that you have to go around 84 and up the, Pescadero to Alpine Road, the back route to access the preserve.
Question from Director Holman?
Not a question, a comment. So you would think that a Mid-Penn board member would think to check closures before going to Purisima. Weekend before last, I think it was, a couple of friends of mine and I went, and we got there and it's like, oh, it's closed.
Yeah.
But a question is, people were hiking down, so we parked way the heck away. And it was a beautiful walk along the road. We hiked along the road then. But there were people coming down from the top, and they said, don't do it. There are trees down and it's really, really muddy and stuff. I can't imagine that's any better, but you didn't say, but you were saying that you could come from the top down and do that. So can you really?
Yeah, so, well, it depends what route they took. So we have Purisima Creek Road closed, right? So that, and it wouldn't surprise me if someone pushed their way through there. There are open routes. However, as I just mentioned with the temporary closure that we did, the snowfall really, not a lot of big trees, but just, a lot of branches of trees that just haven't seen that weight of snowfall in, years and years. So that has caused just a ton of litter on all our trails on Skyline. And to the point where we're not like recording and reporting trees anymore, we're just clearing trails, one at a time. So that's part of the reason for the temporary closure I was talking about. So they might have been reporting something like that with just a lot of trees and debris down. But we do have the closure for Purisima Creek Road that's going to be in place for quite a while. We're not even going to, we've gone out just to evaluate it, but as really far as a solution, it's probably going to have to wait for evaluation until things dry out.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the board, please convey our thanks to all our field staff.
They're out
Yeah.
working hard.
Yes, thank you. Okay, any other staff reports? Okay, director reports? Director Riffle?
Yes, just a brief one. On Saturday, I attended a virtual presentation by Green Foothills. This is Lenny and Megan, as part of the Los Altos History Museum exhibit that honored Wallace Stegner. And it was just a little bit of background for the public about Green Foothills. And as usual, Lenny and Megan did a great job, and they mentioned the district many times and gave us many kudos for the work that we've done. So just FYI, it was nice. Nice of them.
Yes, let's see, Director McNiven.
I did one thing. I went to the Farm Bureau meeting on Monday,
Oh, yes, good.
and they had a very convivial St. Patrick's Day dinner beforehand. It was delicious.
Director Holman?
Did you want to report on your Sam McDonald brown bag?
Oh, has it been since our last meeting?
It was last Thursday. so-
Okay. Oh,
Do you want
yes.
to report on it?
Yeah. Let's see who else. Oh, well, Craig went. Yes. Oh, it was excellent, actually. We had a great turnout. It was maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 people or so. A lot of staff came out, and yeah, Brian was there and some other people, and yeah, people loved it. I mean, the speaker was outstanding, actually. So, and it was complete thanks to our staff support from let's see, what was his name? Ryan, yes. Yeah, it is, it was fully recorded and it's available on Facebook. So if you want to look at it, you can print it. Send that, and let me see, for my reports are, I did go to the BCDC meeting on March 2nd. And of course, yesterday's, it seems it's only yesterday. Yesterday, we had our outstanding board retreat that I hats off to our staff for an outstanding preparation and presentation. That was really so impressive. And also just this morning, a few of us had a meeting with Friends of Stevens Creek just to get updates and review where we are on the status of our project. So thank you all for your participation. Okay, and what is that?
Thank you for organizing that.
Oh, thank you. Very good.
I guess there is one thing that is worth reporting on. As many places are, the Palo Alto City Council looked at whether to allow e-bikes in the preserves, the nature preserves that it has, which is 4. And the Parks and Rec Commission had reviewed it, and using as a basis this organization's analysis and actions. The only part that became a bit of a controversy was whether to allow in Ravenswood, Bayshore, that area, whether to allow e-bikes on unpaved trails there, in addition to the paved trail that's a commuter route. Ultimately, the council voted to follow Midpenn's example. So
That's true.
not an uncontroversial matter, but Midpenn's year-long study and our analysis has been utilized by others.
Yes, it's true. It was heavily used. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, very good. Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, one more. Okay.
Yeah, just first of all, I really enjoyed the brown bag. That was great. And then I attended there's a Bay Area Ridge Trail advocacy group. So the Ridge Trail had some presentations, and they've updated some of their plans for the South Bay, which partly involve area around Sierra Azul and even south of there. It might be, my guess is that staff is plugged into this probably, but well, this particular thing is they call it South Bay Tag, or Trail Advocacy Group for the Bay Area Ridge Trail. But it might be interesting to get an update from Ridge Trail at some point with their new plans.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anything else? If not, I will hereby adjourn the meeting.